Exactly. Well, I'm about to share a secret with you that has changed my life and transformed the way that I do business. So now, why is that important to us as small business people? Because so many of us are selling something that is so close to our hearts, our consulting services, our coaching services, our invention, our life's work. It's so close to ourselves. It's difficult for us to separate our personal value, how we feel about ourselves, from the thing that we're selling or the service that we're selling. And this is the key. Another little book I'd like to share with you. It's not about you. What a relief is that? It's not about you. It's about your target audience. It's about the person whose life you're about to transform with your product or your service or your advice or your system. With a gorgeous little vignette from The Go-Giver, the book that we've been talking about today. And I'll set the scene for you for the few of you who haven't read this yet. So the protagonist of the story is a salesperson named Joe. And like many salespeople, he's had a terrible month. And he's getting to the end of a terrible day in his terrible month. Everything has gone wrong at work. Computer systems have blown up. He's lost days worth of work. Everyone in the office is in a horrible mood. He arrives home knowing that dinner has been ruined, and his wife is probably angry at him. His wife, Susan, and he have an unwritten rule, like many of us do in our marriages. And their unwritten rule is we each get 30 minutes to crab and moan and whine about our horrible day when we get home from work, and that's it. No more. So Joe does his 30 minutes of crabbing. And when it's Susan's turn, she realizes as she's starting to get worked up, her 30 minutes have expired. And so she sort of shushes herself. She's, oh, Joe, I'm sorry. I don't want to dump this on you too. And because of some of the lessons he's already learned in the week that is described in The Go-Giver, Joe does something entirely different from what he's done up to now. He just listens. He just listens. Susan starts talking. She talks about relationships at work that aren't working. She talks about lots of other things. And there may be a couple of ladies in here who know once we get started, sometimes, maybe a few men understand this too, once we get going, you know, the lid comes off the pressure cooker and there's an explosion. And at this point, Susan is in tears. Joe is kind of holding his wife. I don't know what to do about this. Patting her kind of awkwardly, where am I going with this? And so that's all he can do. He just kind of, you know, holds her as she cries. And he's telling her what he thinks are comforting words. And he realizes she's fallen asleep in his lap, you know? And so he falls asleep eventually. The next morning he wakes up and the bed's empty. And he's late. Oh. And he thinks, oh, not only did I have a horrible month, I had a horrible day, I'm not going to meet my quota. And he's telling himself how useless he was to his wonderful wife because he couldn't solve her problems. And then he realizes there's a note on the pillow next to him. And I need to read you this note. Sweetheart. When was the last time Susan had called him sweetheart? My sweet Joe, I hope I succeeded in slipping out without waking you. You deserve extra rest after the earful I gave you last night. Thank you so much. Thank you for your generosity. Joe's dumbfounded. I can't remember ever feeling so listened to, so heard. I love you. Wow. So a situation that Joe thought of as a tremendous failure He felt that he made no impact at all. His wife, Susan, informed him that was the most valuable thing anyone did for me that day. And what's the moral of this story? The moral of the story is we don't get to decide the definition of value. That's up to our client. That's up to our prospect. It's up to our coworkers. Sometimes it's up to our employees to determine that. And how do we find out? We listen. We ask questions. We make an effort to reach out. And we connect with people by finding out who they really are, what's really important to them, what they really need, and what value we have to them. Now, is that something that you can take away and use in your own life?
Yes.
Is that something you can take away and use in your own business? Understanding that it's not about you, does that take off any of the pressure? Does that make you feel easier about presenting your solutions to people? Because it's not about you. It's never about you. So, thank you for your attention.